Jimbo Car Repair, situé à Beltsville au Maryland, offre un travail de qualité sur vos voitures, ceci grâce au savoir-faire de ses mécaniciens sur les voitures américaines comme étrangères. Pour vous assurer un bon entretien de votre véhicule, une seule adresse, 11 401 Somerset Avenue, Beltsville, Maryland, 20705, numéro de téléphone 240 547 0799.
Bonjour, bonsoir, chers téléspectateurs de 5/5 Média. Soyez le bienvenu sur le programme Autour du monde avec Prezedu. Je suis Loni Cassina et une fois de plus, notre émission d'aujourd'hui va se dérouler en langue anglaise et avec la promesse que la fois prochaine, nous allons revenir en langue française et en langue lingala. Thank you. I would like to start today's program by saying something very special, something from the bottom of my heart to all those who follow us on our last program. You may not have noticed it, but our last program was also our first program. And we are completely overwhelmed by the response that have been achieved. We thank all the viewers, five views, and all the viewers from all around the world who have sent messages, who have sent positive and negative reactions, and we are completely delighted. And again, before we go forward into today's program, we cannot forget to thank you, and thanks again. Today's program is a time that we need to refocus a little bit on what we said, especially try to establish an interaction between us and you, the viewer, so that you understand Prezedu, so that you understand what kind of research we do, what is its purpose. We did go in a length on the last emission trying to explain that. However, we would like to do that again today because understanding what we are doing, understanding this research, that is our main concern for now and for the future. Prezedu researches on heads of state of the world. We have studied over 185 heads of states, or what we call presidents of the world, for the purpose to determine what's their levels of education. How high did they go in the education, or how low? That's what we are concerned, and that's also what we want you to be concerned, because we all like to know. These are the most important people in our lives, in our country, and we like to know how far, how high of education ever they gotten. It's a very important issue. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. A lot of people like to ignore about it. And sometimes it's an issue that's very dangerous in some part of the world. But we are interested to find out. And the best way to find it out is to provide this kind of research that have provided empirical results. Most people used to say that. Just like I said earlier, presidents do not have education. However, there are not enough studies, enough research, enough, like I say, facts to prove that. And we at Prezedu have gone to the length, tried to prove that notion. And we have succeeded. And that's why we start to come up here to report to the viewer and to report to the public. And we're not going to stop here because we want every single citizen around the world to know that this research is valid, and we need for them to know as well that we will push to implement the recommendation that we have determined for this research. Our program today is in English because we have realized that Prezedu is trying to reach every single person around the world. I wish I can speak all the languages of the world as I stand right here, so that I can communicate what I'm saying now to everybody, but unfortunately I can't. So we have been trying to speak in as many languages as we can, with the purpose again to reach as many people around the world who can at least understand us, which is whether in the English language or in the French language or in the Lingala, which we have spoke a little bit. But we wish we could speak all the languages so that we can reach all the people in the world. Prezedu has been in the works in the research for a while. We said that earlier, we have started this project since the year 1987. And again, the purpose of the works has been explained. And now that we are trying to publish this research, the best place to read about it, to understand it, and to see it, and to judge it, would be to go to www.prezedu.com. We have put all the facts together for all the view of the world, for anybody who's interested to know about the subject, to log in and try to find out for yourself. It's a very interesting site that shows all the levels that we just mentioned. And we like for you to become familiar with that site. We like for you to become familiar with those levels, because every single day we are following all the levels of the present, and they are reflected by what you see in that Prezedu.com. That we said level 1 reflects the continent, or it reflects all the presidents in that country, how much of education they have got. Let's say level 1 for Africa, or level 1 for Latin America, Central America, North America, all together, they all in level 1. And then Asia is in level 2, and then Europe is in level 2. So we want you to become familiar with those levels, because those levels determine what level of education that the president of that continent altogether, what is the average, and that's what those numbers represent. And we invite you, and that's why we're here. We thank 5/5 Media, who gives us a chance to come here to talk to you about this program. And that's why we're here, so that you understand our research and you can become familiar with it. Most people have also asked us, why are we doing this research? What's in it for us? Why do it now? Of course, that's a very interesting question. But to respond to that question, I personally have to go back to the year 1987 and explain why I started our research. As a graduate student at St. Mary's University in San Antonio, Texas, I was thrilled to put in the papers what my experience has been throughout my life. When I was a young man growing up, I went to primary school, secondary school, and then to college. I have a dream. Just one day, I need to achieve the highest education. And that was for a purpose. For the purpose that because I knew that I want one day to become a president of a country, my country. And that is a dream that's shared by a lot of young people in other countries as well. Not just young people, even some adults. The purpose we try to get an education is to get the maximum return from it, or to get the highest job available. And what are the highest jobs that anybody can expect to get than to be a president of their country? And that is why when you reach that level, and then you will find that another individual who have a very less education than you, who has spent a few years in school than you, have got that job. It's not fair. There is a complete imbalance as far as I'm concerned than to have a president who's not educated and sitting in the highest office of the land in any country. That is the reason that we started that research years ago. Unfortunately, we was not successful to publish it, but now we are to this level where we are put together, like I said, on the website, and we are going forward. And we want you to become familiar with it. It's an academic research. Very interesting research, but we know that most of the realizations, economic, scientific, industrial, most of them come from academic researchers. So once we finish this research, we wanted to have implementation around the world, and most of all, we want that presidents around the world become aware of this research. There are some of them who already have, say, thanks to us. We cannot disclose that to you right now, but we will be more comfortable for the rest to materialize, because this is the highest position that any individual in the world seek. And we believe strongly that that position belongs to the person with the best education of all of us, or all of the people in the country. I would like to take this opportunity to explain something that I've learned throughout this research. My motivation was when I look in monarchies around the world, in kingdoms around the world, whether in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, mostly United Kingdom, used to be in Belgium, it used to be in Spain, but there are a few changes over there. I will come back to that. When you look in most of these kingdoms, the children born in those kingdoms, they already earned that position to be the next in power. And surprisingly, you have to see that most of them have a very low level of education. Why? The reason is, in kingdoms and throughout history, power has preceded education. That's very important. Power to people in those ages, those systems, had preceded education. If you are heard to the throne, you already line up to be the next leader, the next, let's say, king, the next queen. What do you need an education for? That has been their thinking. And that is why, like I said, in those kingdoms, in those monarchies, The people who have ruled the world through those systems, they have not cared about how high of education a king or a queen can have. That was point one. On the point two, we also experience a situation in which the power has been usurpated, taken over from the people who have been elected, for example, by somebody who, because they have been prepared militarily with using force, and reverse what has been put in place, let's say, by the citizens of the country, and take the power. And most of the people who have done those things, I would call them the coup d'etats, they have not cared about what kind of education they have. The aim, the objective has just been to get to the job, get to the post, be a president, and care less about how educated I am. So, the rest of us, including myself, including you, including any intellectual around the world, who have busted our ass, work, pay for college, study for years, you will come just to sit down and see that somebody else who spent very less time in college or didn't even attend college is sitting way above you and mostly a president of your country. This is why this research is very important, because this research gives us the momentum to make sure that to achieve higher education will also allow most of us to be prepared to be a president of a country. The examples that I will say in this respect will be the Americas. The President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama. President Barack Obama would not be a president today if he did not have a higher education, especially being a minority in this country. A higher education was the most successful thing that Obama ever had in his life. And that's the most successful thing, or the most important thing that got him the job. So we would like to see that in all the world, all the country, that everybody has that kind of opportunity. That I've got an education and I may or may not one day become a president of my country. Not just because you have acquired already that post, because you are, like I said, in the kingdom system, you are already listed to be the next leader, the next president. That's not fair. So, to summarize what I said, especially for the monarchies, my favorite example has been mostly United Kingdom, England, where Queen Elizabeth has been in power over 60 years. And I'm not a citizen of that country, but even the citizens of that country themselves knows very well what level of education that the Queen has. And just to follow suit in that level of thinking, in England, more than 335 years, there has been not a single member of the royal family that have graduated from college. It's been a proven, I'm talking about especially the people line up for power. Why would they care so less about education in a royal family? That's the question that we would like to ask. We have had a situation in Belgium where the old king now abdicated and gave power to the younger king. He has a little more of education. We also have a same situation in Spain, where the old king abdicated. He gave power to the younger one. He has a little bit more of education. There has been a slight improvement. But when you look in the rest of monarchies around the world, the situation has been just like nobody cares about having the highest education as long as they already got the job. The job is as long as they already are the king or the queen of the country. So we need to work hard in this area. We need to make sure that all the citizens of the world have the same opportunity when it comes to I have an education and I want to be the president of my country. It's a dream that's shared by a lot of graduate students, a lot of professionals, a lot of young people. As we grow up, you dream to become a president of a country, and we hope that that dream shouldn't be stopped by anybody. So this has been the main wisdom around this research at Prezedu, and that's why we need the support of all the viewers, all the citizens of the world, to understand where we come from, what is this motivation, why are we doing this research, what do we want to accomplish with it. Because on our next programs, we will discuss with you how we can put together a, let's say, we can put together a way to start to resolve this issue. It's a very old issue. It's a very old issue, and we realize that. But since it's an old issue, that means we definitely will have to find a solution to it, because it's too old in the first place. And before I'm getting close to finish today's emission, as usual, I want to thank all the viewers from 505 Media, and we do understand that without you and without the 505 Media staff that give us the opportunity to come here and discuss about this issue, then we wouldn't be here today. So let's hope that in the future we stay together and we implement what we decide to do with this research. It's already done, it's already ready, but it needs to be carried forward. We live in a high-tech society today, and we need leaders who have what's called prerequisites. We need leaders who have analytical skills, and we don't need the leader who just sit there in the office with an empty head and have all the job done by the assistants, let's say. And just like I said earlier, I don't like to go back to say the same thing. I don't think it's also good for you. But in most of the areas where the leader is not educated, he has appointed himself the best intellectual people in this country around him, whether in the post of ministers or in the post of foreign minister, prime minister. They always the best educated people. But when it comes to the president themselves, it's been like an exception. We need to remove that exception in any country of the world, not in just one country, in all the countries of the world, so that in our next generation, we will have educated presidents all over the world. Thank you very much. To thanks over 505, I'm sorry, and thanks mostly to 505 viewers and the viewers from all over the world. Thank you.